Okay, everybody, it looks like everyone is out of the waiting room. I am Beth Whittle, and I will be your session host for the day for your SEL presentation with Dr. Erin Nation. A few friendly reminders for this session. Make sure to keep your microphones muted, but feel free to keep your video on if you would like. If you have questions, please put them in the chat box in Zoom instead of in Whova. I'll be monitoring questions, and that way Erin can make sure that she gets to them. And also, please complete the session feedback form on the Whova app or on the website in your agenda, and then you'll receive a conference survey after the conference in order to get your certificate of attendance. And for the licensed counselors on the line, that certificate of attendance can be submitted with your licensure renewal for CEU credit. So thank you so much for attending today. And with that, I am going to hand it over to Dr. Erin Nation.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy day to come and join me, or if you're listening to this later, thank you for taking the time. I know that this has been a very interesting year, and I myself, I was telling Beth, I was popping in and out of some sessions yesterday, so I get it. So I appreciate you taking the time. So let's get started. So this session is all about social skills and how I teach social skills in my counseling program. So I am an elementary school counselor. I'm practicing in Piedmont, Oklahoma. I'm at Stone Ridge Elementary, which is a 1st through 4th grade school. We have about 530 kiddos in person, and then we have about 40 that are still virtual. We have been in person, masks on, since the beginning, since August. We've only been out of school for all the snow and ice, and then the 2 weeks after Christmas, I think the week before Christmas, and then the 2 weeks after, otherwise we've been in person. So it's been a little crazy with the back and forth, and I'm sure as you all are feeling, spring break cannot come soon enough. So here we are. I have my bachelor's in human development and family science, a master's in guidance and counseling, and then my doctorate is in school administration. I was recruited out of college, and I went and worked at the State Department of Education. I ended up leaving there as the director of early childhood and went into the classroom. So my career is a little bit backwards from most. I taught kindergarten, and then now I've been in my present position as a school counselor at Stone Ridge. I think this is maybe my 6th year doing that. And then most importantly, a mom of 3 littles. So what are social skills? So the ability to interact with others in a given social context in specific ways that are socially acceptable or valued, at the same time personally beneficial, mutually beneficial, or beneficial primarily to others. They're so important, and they're so crucial for our kids. And I believe that social skills can be taught. It's beneficial for their learning experience, their social interaction at school. And so they're just helpful skills to have. And some of our kids come to us lacking some of those. And so how do I help my kiddos that are lacking some of those social skills improve on that? So I wanted to note the difference between a skill deficit and a performance deficit. So a skill deficit is a student cannot perform the skill. And then performance deficit is that a student won't perform the skill consistently. So the types of social skills: survival skills, such as listening, ignoring, following directions; interpersonal skills, sharing, joining a conversation, taking turns talking; asking for help on problem-solving skills, asking for help, deciding what to do, appropriate action to take, and recognizing when to apologize. And then conflict resolution skills, dealing with teasing and bullying, losing or being a good sport, and then handling peer pressure. So here are some social skills that kids need. using flexible thinking, appreciating differences, being a good sport, taking turns, dealing with anger and frustration, self-regulating emotions, dealing with worries, sharing. Let me know if you see something that was left off that list. I got this off of the Pathway to Success. So according to Elliott and Grisham in 2007, these are the top 10 social skills to master in elementary school. Listen to others, follow the steps, follow the rules, ignore distractions, ask for help, take turns when you talk, get along with others, stay calm with others, be responsible for your behavior, and then do nice things for others. And that number 10 is one that I really talk about with especially my kiddos that are on the spectrum, because they feel like that to be a friend, you have to give someone something, or sometimes they're told, you're not my friend unless you bring this from home or unless you buy this from me. And so we talk a lot about what that means appropriately. All right, so I teach social skills in lots of different ways. So I'm going to start out with whole group. So I noticed as a practicing counselor, I was having my teachers request different lessons just kind of on the spot about different social skills or conflicts that their class as a whole were having. And so I would quickly try and make something or find something real quick so that then I could go into that classroom. And oftentimes it's not, they need that now or they needed it yesterday. And so I went ahead and I made my own bundle of lessons. They're also, I sell them individually also, but just on the top kind of social skills issues and things that I was seeing at my school that I needed just to be able to grab and go. I call them grab and go lessons. So it included staying on task, being a good friend, when things don't go your way, tattling, interrupting, apologizing, expressing your feelings, peer pressure, participation, conflict resolution, forgiving, patience, best effort, classroom community, and then multiple friends. It's like that it's okay to have multiple friends. So on patience, let me show you what that looks like. I have, it comes in two different formats. So it has a PowerPoint and then it also has a PDF. And the PowerPoint is really the grab and go aspect. There's no prep work, no copies, anything like that. I am trying to switch over to the PowerPoint because I have this one. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so here is the patience PowerPoint lesson. So goes through some different questions like what does it mean to be patient? What is an example of patience when a time you needed to be patient? And then the social story. What patience looks and sounds like. And then we also do some sorting. So some examples, and then is that showing patient or is that impatient? And then we always end with some scenarios. So you've been waiting at the vet for over 30 minutes. What would you do? What would you say? Or how would you feel to show patience? You're ready to eat your pizza, but it's too hot. So, so that is kind of the setup of those. I just was looking for something that I could just be able to pull out of my pocket and be able to present to a class. And so that is what works for me. So that is one of the whole group ways that I present social skills. I also kind of embedded some social skill aspects at the beginning of the school year. Like I mentioned, my school was back full-time in person beginning in August. And so I really was concerned about how everyone was going to be adjusting back to school. Surprisingly, in my case, a nice surprise is that it went really well. Kids were just excited to see other kids, be around other kids, have some of that structure of school back with them. And honestly, on the first day of school, we didn't have any tears. We also did not allow parents to walk their kiddos to class, which was a first. And so I think that was a big factor in that. But we had no tears on the first day of school. And so that was great. So I had, leading up to that first day, because I had really prepared that we were going to have a lot of issues, I had created a lot of resources to use for myself on that. And then the first session or lesson that I gave to all of my students was all about handling big emotions, which I think is a big part of social skills. And because the pandemic has rocked so many of us, we've all been feeling really big emotions. So that was the very first lesson that I gave to all of my students at my school. So then when we did move to distance learning, I incorporated some more lessons in regarding social skills for whole group. So this particular lesson I did with 3rd and 4th grade, and it's more about perspective taking. The book, Hey Little Ant. So if you've never read it before, it gives the perspective of an ant and a boy who's going to stomp on the ant. And so it kind of goes back and forth in conversation. And then at the end, it asks, what would you do? What do you think the kids should do? And what would you do? So I linked this video, and then also gave a little video on kind of some of my final thoughts and kind of asking some more questions. And before you think, must have been a really engaging lesson with only 6, turning them in, I did it with Zoom. And then this was on our Google Classroom for anybody that didn't come to that Zoom class. So I went ahead during distance learning. Our health teacher, he is actually a para, and so he wasn't going to take his space in our Zoom schedule. And so I took his space and I did all my counseling lessons through that, rather than creating a whole new Zoom call for kids to come and join. So when you start seeing those little turn in, it wasn't it wasn't because of that. So next one, another one that I did during distance learning was the sandwich swap, which I really like this book. It's actually written by Queen Rania, the Queen of Jordan. But so it is a really good book that covers friendship skills, perspective taking, and then trying something new. So these 2 best friends always bring the same sandwiches to lunch, and one has peanut butter and one has hummus and pita bread. And so they both think that the other sandwich is disgusting. And so it kind of creates this conflict between the friends and kind of then ultimately the school. And so they end up bringing everybody together at the end. So again, I had a link to the book and then had like kind of a video and then asking the kiddos, when's the time that you tried something new? And this one I did with 1st and 2nd graders. I really used this circle of control a lot during distance learning, and I'm sure many counselors already use it as well too, but it's something that I have found really beneficial. You can find lots of freebies online for them. I use it in individual, in small groups, and even in whole groups. But I think especially in a time like this, where so much is out of our control, even as adults, it's important to focus on what we can control. So when things don't go our way, when things seem out of control, what are some things that we can control? My thoughts, my attitudes, how I treat other people, what I say, how I take care of my own feelings. And so sometimes we'll kind of do this together, and sometimes I'll give kids a little bit of a start and then let them finish. I've even drawn it on my whiteboard before while doing kind of an individual check-in with a kiddo, and we've kind of worked some of those things through. And then outside my control are all outside of that smaller circle, things that have already happened, what other people say, other people's choices. So I use this circle of control a lot, and I think that it covers a lot of aspects of school counseling, but I think it's really helpful with social skills as well. And then again, on the when things don't go your way, if you haven't read the After the Fall, it's a really cute story about perseverance and kind of learning from our mistakes and how Humpty Dumpty got back up again. I also have done some seasonal mini lessons that have to do with social skills. So this one is a St. Patrick's Day one that I had created, and it's lucky to be your friend. And so one thing that I always say is to have a friend, you need to be a friend. And so we focus on some things that we like about ourselves first, and then we can talk about why is someone lucky to be your friend, and then what are some qualities that you look for in friends, things like that. So I also have done whole group counseling with social skills with centers. I haven't done it this school year just because of COVID, but I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to start this again next year. So whole group centers on social skills, feelings, friendship skills, self-management, all those are really great that tie into social skills as well. All right, I'm going to show a video.
Erin, it looks like we're not able to hear you.
Are you not? Okay.
Erin, if you wanted to show that video, if you go to the arrow next to share screen and advanced sharing options, there should be sound options that you can click if you think it's worth the time figuring out, since it's 11:47.
Gotcha. Thank you. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to keep on with the presentation because I don't see that sound part on mine. I wonder if I do it like this. Thumbs up if you can hear it now.
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. That's all right. All right. So I will put this the presentation on there, and you are welcome to go look at some of the videos that I have included in there. So this one is, he was one of the producers of Rugrats and some other cartoons, and he has developed some social skills through animation. And so really interesting, and I think that that is something that's really beneficial to use with our kids, teaching social skills through animation. So just kind of a unique idea that I had found. All right, so next one. Okay, and again, I will put this presentation up on afterward. And so if you want to wait and get a screenshot of this page later. So these are a basic behavior book club list. And so it talks about, on the second column there is all of the different kind of social skills topics, and then a name of a book that goes with that topic. So I am a big book reader with my classes, with my kids. I'll read it awkwardly in individual check-ins, just me and the kiddo. I'll ask if I can read a book. I use them in small groups, and then I use them a lot in whole groups. So these are just some of the different books that if you're looking for a specific book on a certain content area, this is a good resource to have. I love Mo Willems, the I Can Play To. Enemy Pie is a great one with friendship skills. All right, so some more books. I love this one. It's one that's pretty new to me, The Wall in the Middle of the Book. It's really great on perspective thinking about somebody else's perspective. So the knight is on one side, and so he's thinking that the other side of the wall is awful because of this ogre. And so kind of it goes through kind of a funny situation. What Should Danny Do? I love these. I read the school day one with my first and second graders this school year. They also have the What Would Darla Do? And then the What Should Danny Do? Just regular at home. But I did the school day one. And basically it shows how the different choices that you make can impact your whole day, which, you know, is a critical part of social skills, that you are in control of your choices. So it has 8 stories in one. So it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. If you're not familiar with this book, I would read it the whole way through the correct way. And then we would try and read it through the incorrect way, having him choose all of the poor choices. And then we would sometimes read it a third time and go through and let the kiddos pick and see how his day changed just based off of 1 or 2 poor choices. The Boy with Big, Big Feelings. I read this at the beginning of the year with talking about handling big emotions. Being Frank. I really like this one, especially with kiddos that are on the spectrum, with that honesty, because sometimes honesty isn't always the best policy. And so this kind of goes through some of that. The Rabbit Listened. I love this book about friendship skills and sometimes what a friend means. And sometimes our kiddos that are lacking social skills think that they need to fill in the space where there is silence. And so they'll sometimes talk too much or be too much of a friend. And so this is really great. If you've never read this book, something happens to the little boy. And although my son said he thought it was a girl, so I don't know. It's pretty gender neutral. Taylor is the child's name. So something happens to Taylor, and all these different animals come one by one and try and help him. And ultimately, the rabbit comes and just listens, doesn't say anything. It's just there for Taylor. And so I just really like this book, and I've used it with my social skills group right now, and talking about friendship skills. And then I love this book, Me First. I used to read it when I did pre-K counseling lessons, but it's that being first isn't always the best. And so that's a great one for social skills as well. All right, so small groups. So we know the benefits of small groups and that they are the most effective in developing social skills. While oftentimes, you know, as counselors, we do teach them a whole group, they're going to get the best information and best bang for their buck working on social skills in a small group setting. So the kind of idea that I run through in my head is, number 1, knowing yourself. 2, initiating with friends. 3, conversation skills. And then 4, reading social skills. And this activity that's on the PowerPoint is actually one that I used in a whole group setting, but it could be a small group too. But just kind of some self-reflection that I think that that's an important part of those steps to social skills. All right, so my social skills small group is something that I created myself. Just again, I was kind of not finding exactly what I wanted, and so I just made it myself. So it is a camp theme, like social skills camp. And so the first session is all about me and expressing our feelings. Because again, kind of going back to that idea that number 1 is knowing yourself. And so we talk about that, kind of lay the ground rules and what goes on there. 2, we talk about listening and raising our hand. When's the time that we can interrupt? When's the time that we can wait? The third session, we talk about teasing and iMessages. So appropriately using iMessages when someone is teasing us, the difference between teasing and playing and things like that, kind of breaking down some of those. The fourth session, we talk about personal space, body language, and physical contact. So the writing activity that we do is when's the time to give somebody a hug? And so we go through that. When's an appropriate time to give somebody a hug? We ask them first, and we practice making our hugs quick and not lingering too long. Lots of role play is great in teaching social skills. The fifth session, compliments and tone of voice. And I have a link on here to a video that Sesame Street does on teaching compliments. And so that'll be here on that video and on the PowerPoint as well. And then tone of voice. So how loud our voice is, the pitch of our voice, things like that. And then the last one is we talk about empathy, eye contact, and facial expressions. So there's just kind of a little highlight of one of the activities that we do. So keeping it to ourselves and when to shine a light. So most of these are based on a true story, if not all. Your teacher's lipstick is too shiny. Your teacher got a new haircut that you don't like. So, how do you react? When is the time that you shine a light on it and you give a compliment and you bring notice to it? And when's the time that you just keep that to yourself? So we go through those in that session. All right, so again, here's that video, that link to the Sesame Street video on teaching compliments. And I've used Sesame Street videos as old as 4th grade. And I know sometimes they'll say Sesame Street, but there's so much good content in there, especially one of the videos about empathy, which I think is a really hard lesson to teach with kiddos and teaching them what empathy is. And there's a great video that Sesame Street does on empathy. All right, personal space camp. I know that we all know about the great books that Julia Cook does. This is one of them, and I've used this a lot with my special ed kids in my social skills groups. The hula hoop is a great demonstrator of that personal space, because often our kids that are lacking social skills kind of invade that personal space. And so getting that visual demonstration of what that looks like is a great representation of that. Okay, so for small groups, what I've been doing lately is interactive notebooks. So I don't know if it's just with the way that this year has gone, but I was really kind of struggling with some of my small groups. And I know that teaching small groups is one of my weaker areas as a school counselor. It's something that I don't necessarily look forward to. And so I need to make it fun for me too, so that I look forward to it as well. I think sometimes in small groups, we struggle with managing those kids. Even though it's a small group, they are all there for a reason. And so sometimes they are, the more wiggly and the outspoken kiddos, whatever group it might be, if it is social skills or friendship or that sort of thing. So I have created some interactive notebooks that I'm using this year. If you're interested in these, send me an email and I'll let you know when I post them. But right now they're just kind of in the draft phase of me using them. So this is one that I'm using right now. The social skills group that I have going on right now is all girls, which isn't always the case. And so we are kind of focusing a lot on friendship skills and some of that relationship aggression that comes with being a good girlfriend. And so talking about those kind of things. So my social skills notebook. And so the first session, we focused on all about me. So things that I like, things I do not like, and then a wish. And I had said it could be a wish of this group, this school year, what you want to be when you grow up, whatever. And then the next session, we talked about some qualities of a good friend. I have a friendship group, small group, that I also run, that I have little cards of all different qualities, character traits. You could easily Google something like that to get a whole list. But so we lay them all out and we decide if we think that they're a good quality of a friend or not. And so these are just 3 that this student picked that she believes are some good qualities of a friend. And then I will support and encourage my friends by, and then I will respect my friends' boundaries by. So again, we talk about to have a friend, you need to be a friend. And that part of being a good friend is being supportive and encouraging to our friends. One of my girls that is in the social skills group was talking about a conflict that she was having with a friend. And these are 3rd grade girls. And the friend was on the monkey bars and it was making the monkey bars shake. And so my friend that is in the social skills group said, "You're so heavy. It's making the monkey bars shake." And she goes, "And I can't figure out why she's mad at me. I just said she was heavy." And so I said, "Well, how else did the conversation go?" She said, "Well, then I said, you're just so heavy because you have like so much muscle and so much like things in you. It's just making you heavy." And so I said, "Well," I go, "that would hurt my feelings if someone said that I was so heavy that I was making, the monkey bars shake." And so talking about that through empathy and that, we have to be supportive of our friends and being a good friend. So talking about that. So I feel like the way that it's working for me is these are kind of helping spur some of those conversations in my social skills group right now. So I bought these just off Amazon. They came in like a pack of, you could get them in like a pack of 25 or a pack of 50. And so if you have any school money or if I purchased them on my own, because sometimes we just do that. But so they've been really good on these interactive notebooks. And then at the end, then the kiddos will get to take them home and then have them, and they can use it as a journal if they want to, continue on writing about their social skills. I'm doing it with friendship skills right now. And I have a divorce and loss group. And so it's called TAD, Things Are Different Now. Because I was struggling with what to call it. I have a hard time with always wanting to make things a cutesy name. And so ultimately, they're all coming from very different backgrounds. And so the one thing that's in common is that things are different now. They used to be one way in their family and now they're different. And so it's just TAB, Things Are Different. So I'm doing interactive notebooks in all my groups. It's also really helping with, I'm really trying to keep those kiddos 6 feet apart. I don't know what your policies are at your school, but ours is they need to be 6 feet apart. And if not, then if they're within 6 feet for more than 15 minutes, then they would have to quarantine. And so I don't want, it happens, but I don't want a kiddo to be have to quarantine because of a small group that they were in with me. So I'm keeping them spread out in my room. And so the notebooks are kind of helping a little bit with that they have something that they're working on, on their own, that we're not having to do a ton of like group things together. All right, so here's some zoomed in pictures of what we're doing right now with these social skills notebooks. Again, we're talking about, the basis of friendship. So first we talked about ourselves, and then now we're talking about interacting with friends. Okay, then for special education, I'm going to stop sharing because I want to show you what I use. I go in once a week to our mild to moderate class. They are kiddos who are in that classroom all day long. They really only go into their regular classroom for specials or really just specials at this time. So I go in once a week and I do a mini lesson with them. And I found this on Teachers Pay Teachers, and I bought it long ago when I was doing kindergarten lessons regularly. So if you're someone who does pre-K or kindergarten lessons, you might be interested in these. I would do it at the beginning of my lesson, just because with pre-K and kindergarten, it needing to hold their attention, and that, things need to move quickly. And so, but I'm finding that they are really working with my special needs friends. So it's called Kinder Skills, and it's by Tara West. And so you can print out all these little different cards, and it has different topics of social skills. So it walks through scenarios with Tomcat and Tabby Cat, and it has little puppets that you can make for the kids, which they love it. And so every time I come, they get out their Tomcat and their Tabby Cat, and we walk through the story. And there's a hands-on time, there's a time to share, and then closing questions. So there's 2 different cards for each one. So this one, for instance, is on expressing feelings. And so it kind of gives an introduction, the scenario of what happened, trying to tell if you feel like that Tomcat was expressing his feelings appropriately, and then kind of the rest of the story. And then you can do a follow-up. You could come back the next day. I just do it in the same day, and do kind of a hands-on activity for them to get to actually practice expressing their feelings, and then kind of a closing, like what might happen if we show our emotions inappropriately? How do people feel about us if we express our emotions inappropriately? Anyways, so it's called Kinder Skills. It's one of those ideas that I wish I would have thought of, but I didn't. It's $15, which I think is a lot, but it's been well worth it. It takes a lot of time to put together the cutting and the laminating of the book, but it's been so helpful with teaching social skills to my special needs friends this year. So not sponsored. I just really like that product. All right, so I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen. I don't even know her, but she made a good product, so I have to share it. So again, there's the cover at Kinder Social Skills with Tomcat and Tabby Cat. All right, so when I was doing regular lunch bunches, that was something that came up as well with social skills. I feel like, and I think I've already said this, but I feel like friendship skills and social skills can really kind of bleed together. And I think that, it's so important in the school setting for them to. And so that was something that we talked about a lot. So I would do lunch bunches with my 3rd and 4th graders, and I would kind of start with the highest need first. And so we would eat, and then some of the activities that we would do then kind of led for some more discussion for that. All right, so then this is a video. Yeah.
Erin, I've got a quick question for you. They're asking if you could post a link to the book list in the chat if you have it. Lauren has to spend her Title I money at her school, and they would like to order some more books. So they would like your book list.
I'll post this whole PowerPoint onto the Whova afterward, however to upload, and then I'll put my email. So if you're not able to access that, feel free to email me, and I don't mind sending this to you as well. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. And I'll also post another resource in the chat.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and then this video was just kind of the benefits of social emotional learning, which as school counselors, we know is so important. And then the homeschool connection. So I do monthly newsletters when I'm good about remembering doing them. And then I also do this Taking Good Character Home. So while we're learning about a character trait, I will attach this to the back of the newsletter through email. I don't print them out, just since, being the school counselor and having over 500 kids, that's a lot of paper. So I'll attach it to an email, and just kind of touching on some more of that good character practice at home. The social emotional calendar is something that I do send home at the end of the year. And I did, here we go. I did one in January when I knew we were going to be home for so long. with the 2 weeks out of after Christmas. So I did kind of a social emotional calendar just for January. And I think, good character traits really tie in well to social skills as well. So here's how to contact me. Mrs. Nation's Class at Gmail. I'm on Instagram at Dr. Nation's Education. And then I have a blog, drnationseducation.com. Beth, are there any other questions
That was the only question we had, but we do have about 10 minutes left. So if anybody wants to post another question in the chat or unmute yourselves and ask a question, Erin is here to help you.
And what about you guys? Is there anything awesome that you do with teaching social skills that maybe I need to know about, that I need to start incorporating?
Erin, Jordan asked, how long are your small groups?
About 20 minutes. Yesterday, we were really getting deep in my friendship group. And, being the week before spring break, we're all just a little crazy. And so we went about 30 minutes, but usually about 20 minutes is kind of how long my small groups are.
And then Anna, to answer your question, they will be sending the documentation for CEUs following the conference today. It'll look like a certificate of attendance, not the normal CEU form you're used to. The State Board of Behavioral Health, due to COVID, put a moratorium on approving CEUs. So all you'll have to do when you apply for renewal is send that certificate of attendance and they'll accept it. But you'll get that here after the conference. And then Kara asked, Erin, any wisdom on how to handle girl drama? That's a loaded question.
I know. And I feel like it starts in about third grade, which is funny because I remember when I was in third grade, that was the first year that I experienced it. So I feel like maybe kids haven't really changed in 30 years. So that's where my social skills group right now, that's just with girls, that's been more of our focus, is friendship skills and being a good friend. And so that's been kind of the highlight of that. I know there's lots of great books and resources out there. I can't think off the tip of my tongue what any of them are called. But that just kind of meeting with them individually or in a small group, talking about empathy and how somebody else might be feeling. Again, that's sometimes a difficult topic to teach. But once they are able to put themselves in somebody else's shoes and realize that they probably have more in common than they do different, sometimes that helps.
Hey, and then we had another question on, do you have any recommendations for high schoolers?
No, I'm sorry. I'm an elementary person. I apologize.
But to piggyback on that question, I will say the Follett Library link that I listed in the chat does have SEL books broken down by grade band, and the high school ones are great. So that might be a good place to start. And then Jennifer asked, are you a part of the specials rotation in Piedmont?
I'm not. The first year that I was there, I was a part of it just on Mondays only. It was kind of an odd schedule. I am not. I see, again, my school is 1st through 4th grade, and we have about 540 kiddos, give or take. I see 1st and 2nd grade 2 times a month for 45 minutes. And then I see 3rd and 4th grade once a month for 45 minutes. And as a former classroom teacher, I know that I really appreciated the longer time that counselors are in there. If you're able to do that, teachers really appreciate it. If some people like for the teachers to be in the room while they're giving the lesson, I'm not too picky if they are in there or not. But I feel like the 45 minutes, which I know can sound like a long time, but it gives me enough time to read my book, introduce the topic, and do the activity, and then give the kids time to share and reflect. Whereas in 30 or 20 minutes, I feel like sometimes it's rushed and then the lesson isn't really truly followed up with. So I like the 45 minutes. And again, I see first and second grade twice a month, and then I see third and fourth grade once for those 45 minutes.
Great. Thank you, Erin. And then
Yeah.
Anna asked, are there any resources for fifth grade student and parent who are worried about being bullied going into middle school?
So just off the top of my head, and there's probably, however many, 62 other people that could chime in on this as well. But a lot of times with kids with concerns about that, I focus on building up confidence in themselves first. So we'll talk about, things that they like about themselves and kind of helping them become comfortable in their own skin. If it's something, in particular that they're worried about, if it's somebody that has social skills issues or is lacking in social skills, I think that can be a big part of it is being comfortable with themselves. So I would focus on that probably first.
And
I hope that helps.
yes, thank you. And I apologize. I've been trying to think about the book that I used regarding girl drama and relational aggression, and it just popped in my head, and it's Queen Bees and Wannabes. When I was in the building, that one was great for my middle school and high school kids.
Yeah. And I think that's the book that the movie Mean Girls was actually based off of.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But that is a good book.
And then I think that is all the questions. Gina says there's also a really good Drama Llama book for elementary. So if there aren't any more questions, we will give you the short gift of 3 minutes of time back. And oh, Jade just said, this has been my favorite breakout session so far. Thank you, Erin.
Well, thank you. Well, I think I said at the beginning, but maybe not. I'm a school counselor too, and my goal whenever I attend these sessions is just to find out what other people are doing. Because I feel like as school counselors, we're so isolated in our jobs. There's probably nobody else in your building that does what you do. And so if you are able to walk away with at least one book recommendation or an idea of something that you can take back to your classroom tomorrow, that's always my goal.
All right, everybody. Well, we hope you enjoy the rest of the conference, and thank you to Dr. Erin Nation for presenting on a very applicable topic with tons of resources. We appreciate you, and everybody have a great rest of your day.